welcome to my review of the Smith & Wesson Model 642 revolver chambered in .38 Special. Now, as you can see, this is a very small frame revolver, and basically all of the design elements of this firearm are geared towards concealed carry, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Before examining this firearm in detail, of course we want to make sure that it is unloaded and safe. So we want to point it in a safe direction as always, and of course it is loaded. One feature of this gun that I do like is that you don't necessarily have to use the plunger to remove the rounds. They come out pretty easily, so if you're doing a quick reload, that makes things a little bit easier. Alright, now we know the gun is empty and it's safe to work with. Okay, let's start from the beginning. First of all, you'll notice that this is a very, very small gun, and it's made out of aluminum, so that reduces the weight significantly. In fact, the weight of this gun unloaded is 13 ounces, less than a pound. If you're familiar with the weights of firearms, you'll know that that is very, very, very light. You can see that the grip is extremely small and the barrel is extremely short. The barrel, in fact, is under 2 inches in length. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it is less than 2 inches. You'll also notice that it's a hammerless design. Now, I'm a big fan of revolvers, and I think that when it comes to using a firearm for defensive purposes, you cannot beat the reliability of a revolver. Yes, I know you're only limited to 5 rounds in this case, as you can see, but I think it's reliability is, if something malfunctions, it can't serve the purpose it was intended for, and in that case it would be defending your own life. I prefer the hammerless design for multiple reasons. First and foremost, it allows for much easier carry. If you are removing the gun from, whether it is from your pocket or from a holster, it's much less likely to snag on the hammer. And I also, even when I am using a double action revolver that has a hammer, I never fire it single action. And most revolver purists that I've encountered, I don't know, I'm sure this is a very controversial subject, but I have read and I've heard that if you're going to use a revolver for combat purposes, you should become accustomed to using it double action only. Because if you are in a situation in which you need to fire multiple shots rapidly, clearly you're not going to have time to cock the hammer for each shot. That's why they made guns double action. It was a progression from single action. I mean, the first revolvers were single action only, and then they came out with double action. Let's talk about the grip. The grip is very, very small, and initially I found it to be a little awkward to hold. I mean, as you can see, my pinky is kind of coming off the end there, but you quickly become very accustomed to it, and I don't find it awkward, and I think it would probably be perfect for a female or someone with smaller hands. And for me, I have about average sized male hands, and I'm able to adapt to it pretty well. Maybe with someone with very large hands, it might not be all that practical. But one thing I discovered about this gun, and you'll see when I show you some footage from the range, is that it proved to be incredibly accurate for having such a short barrel. I was really, really impressed. After using this gun, for the very first time, I was able to place my shots in a very small group, which you'll see in a moment. Now, one very important thing to point out about this is, unlike a lot of revolvers capable of firing .38 Special or .38 plus P, this particular model cannot fire .357 Magnum. you may or may not know this, but 357 Magnum revolvers are capable of firing 38 special or 38 plus P, but the reverse is not true. So something chambered solely for 38 special or 38 plus P cannot fire 357 Magnum. I do not see the fact that this gun is not capable of firing 357 Magnum as a drawback, because I am not a big fan of the 357 Magnum cartridge as for defensive purposes. 357 Magnum has a very, very significant recoil that makes controlled shots extremely difficult in rapid fire. And when you combine that fact with an extremely light gun, such as this Model 642, and there are comparable guns that are capable of firing 357, so you're putting an extremely powerful cartridge with great recoil into a very, very light gun, which makes the kickback even greater. It's really difficult to control unless you're an extremely experienced shooter. Like I said, this gun proved to be extremely accurate. As you can see, if I can give you a shot of the sight picture. Very rudimentary sights. These are what I would call combat sights or duty sights. These are not for precision shooting or target shooting, and you know, they get the job done well. Once you just get accustomed to it, I'd say once you fire a few cylinders worth of rounds, you'll be able to shoot very accurately at distances you're likely to encounter in a defensive scenario. Okay, so let's take a look at the range. By the way, this is an Uncle Mike's holster designed for pocket carry. I don't know that I would actually use it for that. I think it's, even despite the small size of this revolver, it's still a little bulky. You know, this holster might work in your pocket if you were to carry a semi-automatic pistol of comparable size. With this pistol, I'd probably go with an inside the waist holster, something other than in the pocket. But it's a nice holster just to store the gun if you're going to keep it near your bed. I mean, in your closet or something like that, you know, for home defense.